Well, welcome. Thank you for coming out this evening, not only in the middle of January, but also a cold evening. We are proud to have the class of 2026 in our building this evening. For those of you that are new to this building, for the first time on this type of a basis, we welcome you. We're glad you're here, and we're happy to see you here at Elk River High School. For those of you that this might be a repeat journey, either your second, third, or beyond, we welcome you too, and we're glad that you're here. For some of you folks, you probably could come up here and perform the presentation. That's awesome, because you'll have an ability to help around you in this process. My name's Terry Bazal. I'm the Elk River High School principal. I'm proud to be here this evening and glad to welcome in the class of 2026. The reason why I keep pointing up in this direction, we always work backward, and we talk about graduation. And how can graduation, how does tonight get you to graduation, which in 4 fast years, I was in those seats, and I said, no way, Bazal, you're lying. Trust me, those 4 years, Sonia's nodding her head, those 4 years will go by very, very fast. For those of you that are planning those celebrations, you might want to start the remodel job now. With that being said, I have a few staff members with me this evening that are going to help make this presentation make sense. Brian Scher, assistant principal on the right-hand side. Erin Shermack, guidance counselor here at Elk River High School. She'll be doing the bulk of the presentation. And then out front, you're greeted by 2 people, Amanda Olgren, one of our assistant principals, and Trish Nilsson, one of our counseling secretaries. Julie Odegaard, another assistant principal, is unable to be with us here this evening. Quick information. If you haven't read it already, your pink sheet is nothing but the registration procedure as to how you go about registering. It's not about online classes. It's about how you register online. The blue sheet in your packet is the actual worksheet. This is a valuable worksheet for you to write in pencil, scroll on it, fill this out first before you start completing your online registration process. Online registration will open tomorrow, and it will close on January 21st. Okay, opens tomorrow and closes on the 21st. And I believe you can make changes, too, throughout that process. So if you decide sometime between tomorrow and the 21st that you don't want to make a change in a course, go right ahead. You are not registering for that course for a particular period. That's a schedule coming out in August. We're giving us, the high school, the district, how many kids want to take, for example, Honors English 9? How many kids are going to take regular English 9? Those are the numbers that we need. And then the last portion in your packet is the actual registration information. All this information will be online. As I talked earlier, and as I want to provide the information that I said in the email this afternoon, both this presentation and this the PowerPoint and this presentation will be online on our district website, so that if you have any questions or you want to go back and take a look at something, you're free to do that. Try to get you in and out within an hour. All questions are good, and we're going to allow you time at the end of this session to ask those questions. You can also ask those questions individually. One piece of information you're probably going to hear from the individuals over here to my right is that in the area of math, students, you should be asking your math teacher tomorrow or over the course of the next week and a half, what course should I be taking and signing up for at ERHS? Again, we work backward. Our goal is to get this entire class across the stage in 4 years. And that starts the first day of school, your 9th grade year. It takes some planning as a family unit after you get to hear the information tonight. You know your child the best. Students, you're beginning to develop those habits of academics. And your 9th grade year is really, well, your 9th grade year counts, and it's extremely important. For those of you that had students come through the high school, that 9th grade year is a transitional year. We need you to pass all 12 of your credits. 6 classes the first semester and 6 classes the second semester. That's how we get to those 12 credits. That keeps you on track to graduate. And we really want to see that take place. One other large component that you can do is that if you're involved in an activity, whether it be a school activity, a club activity, and it continues here to Elk River High School, we want to see that happen. Sport, whatever that might be, theater, get involved in something. Students that participate in activities, it could be a civic organization too, students that get involved in activities have an 80% chance of graduating. That is a tremendous number to have. As you're listening to the presentation, make sure you are surveying not only your child and their ability in the academics, but also what happens in their life when school starts. It's fall, it goes into winter, and it goes into spring. Because some of the courses you're going to be asked to take a look at, we obviously want you to be challenged, but we don't want you to get over your head. That's a dual-edged sword with regards to how you go about picking courses. You know what's best. We want you to be successful. We want to challenge yourself. Take those rigorous courses that are going to get you to that end product, to that 2026, and then whatever takes you out of high school. And when we talk about college, we mean college in the terms of post-secondary, meaning a 6-week course to a 6-year course and everything in between. So when we talk about post-secondary, if you hear the word college, we're not just saying a 4-year institution. We are saying anything in a formalized training beyond grade 12. That's our goal. So with that being said, I think I'm going to turn it over to Brian Scher, the assistant principal. He's going to go through and give you some brief information. Aaron Schermack will come in and guide you through this process as far as selecting courses. And then we'll have at the end some question and answer period of time for you to ask any of those questions. So if you have questions, go ahead and jot them down, and we'll do our best to answer those. So again, I want to reiterate, I'm happy you're here. Thanks for coming out in this cold weather, and we're proud to have the class of 2026 here as you embark on your 4-year high school journey, and we're excited to see that. So thank you, and I'll turn over to Brian Scher.
Thank you, Mr. Rizal. Appreciate that. Welcome, everybody. On behalf of the ERH administrative team, we're going to go through some informational things at this point, talking about how to register for your upcoming school year. So let's go ahead and get started. And let me just say that Elk River is going to offer you a big opportunity. Of course, we have one-to-one technology and many other technologies within the building. We have hundreds of courses to meet every type of learner. Hundreds of courses. We have over 40 college credit opportunities, everything from advanced placement to college and schools. We have 32 Minnesota State High School League athletics and activities that students can select from, and 38 different student clubs, something we're very proud of here. So today we're going to be delivering you 4 important messages. The first piece of that is we want to talk to you about the graduation requirements you need so that when 2026 rolls around, you're walking across during that ceremony. The second thing we want to talk about is the online registration process. All students, especially you incoming 9th graders, will register online between January 11th, that's tomorrow at 7:30 in the morning, to January 21st at 3 p.m. And as Mr. Bazal mentioned, you are able to go in and modify your registration during that open time. Third, we'd like to talk to you about what schedule changes could potentially look like. We want to remind everybody in here that we hire staff and do our planning based upon registration. Therefore, course changes after that online registration deadline of the 21st are very limited. Lastly, the fourth thing we want to talk to you about today is that your post-secondary planning, what that looks like, and how your high school career will define your future options and possible successes from there on out. So I'm going to turn it over to one of our guidance counselors, Ms. Erin Schermack, and she's going to walk you through all of these little nuances in terms of graduation and online registration. So thanks again for being here tonight. We will open it up to questions at the end of the presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Scher. Thank you. So my name is Mrs. Shermack. I'm one of the 5 school counselors here. School counselors here are separated by last name, and so if you have multiple students in your family with the same last name, you'll work with the same counselor as your students go through. I happen to have last names L to R-A. And one other important piece of information. After you leave us tonight, the DECA Depot is open and offering 10% off, so you should stop by. We're going to start by looking at the required graduation tests. All of our students, by the time we graduate, need to have a post-high school plan. That is something that you will start working on your 9th grade year. We use a program called MCIS, which stands for Minnesota Career Information Systems. Some of you may have dabbled in that in middle school, but it's a great online tool for you to be able to keep and save information and to help you make that post-high school plan. So whether you want to plan for military or tech school or an apprenticeship or college or a doctoral degree, we have ways for you to start looking and exploring what that plan might be. And we do expect your plan to change and evolve over the 4 years you're here as you change and evolve. We also will offer all of you during your junior year the ACT, which is a college entrance exam, and you will be offered that exam for free. So that is something to look forward to your junior year. We will also offer you, if you would prefer not to take the ACT, you can take something called the Asvab, which is the military entrance exam. But even if you're not thinking the military is the path for you, it has a really incredible career tool built into it that can maybe help identify some of those strengths and weaknesses, and it will test you on things that you probably have never seen on a standardized test before. For example, there's an engineering piece in there, there's an automotive piece in there, and that's not something that is typically seen on a standardized test. So to graduate from high school, from Elk River High School, you need 43 total credits. 31 of those are going to be required in English, math, science, social, health, Phy-Ed, and arts, and the other 12 are elective classes of your choosing. With those elective credits, we really encourage you to get out there and try things you haven't tried to see if you can figure out where your niche in life is and where your skills are. Want to touch on the difference between middle school grading and high school grading for those of you who are going through this the first time, because there is some pretty significant differences. In middle school, you have 4 quarters, 9 weeks each, and you get a grade at each quarter, and then your final year grade is an average of all 4 of those. So you might have a student who maybe gets B's and C's and has one really horrible semester or one quarter where it's an F and it brings that down, but their other 3 quarters bring it up enough to that as a passing grade, and that is how things are determined at the middle school level based on if you've earned credit. At the high school level, we have 2 semesters, and they do not average. They are independent. And so the first 18 weeks you are in a class, you will earn credit based on if you passed or failed the course. Passing is 65% and above, and if you were to earn 64% or below, you would not be able to earn that credit. That is not a position we want to see any of you in. If you are struggling, please reach out early and often to your resources here at school to help us help you create a plan to be successful in that class. And then at the beginning of second semester, everybody starts with a clean slate at 100% in all of their classes again. But please realize that we don't average those 2 semesters. So this is the part of the presentation that talks a little bit about the actual registration and the classes that you're going to be taking. Mr. Bazal kind of went over what is all in your packet, which is what that is telling you here. The last piece that just popped up, the course description guide, you don't have. I want to say it's about 50 pages long, and so we don't print one for everybody, but all of that information is available online. In the very back of this packet, there's what we have called the course grid. Parents, you probably can't read it because it's about size 6 font, but your kids might be able to read that. This is a really useful tool. It lists all of the classes that we have. It tells you if they're a year-long class, a semester class, what type of credit they get. So is it an English credit, an art credit, a math credit? It also will tell you what grade levels are eligible to take that class. So not all classes are available to freshmen. there are some classes that you can't take until you become an upperclassman here at the high school. And so that is a really great resource for you. It also has the course number on it, which is going to be an extremely important thing for you to do, to have access to when you're filling out that worksheet and then doing your online registration. But if you're looking at this list and you see a class and you say, I have no idea what that is. So maybe you look at it and you say, engineering, design, and manufacturing. Well, I don't know, that could be interesting. I think I should find out what that class is about. That's where we want you to go out and look at that course description guide on our website, which will give you like a paragraph description about each course that we offer that would be able to give you more information. If you are an in-district transfer, which means you are currently attending not an Elk River Middle School, so you do not attend Soccer Vandenborg, you're attending either Zimmerman, Prairie View, or Rogers Middle School, but you're wanting to come to Elk River High School next year, we would love to have you. You need to complete an in-district transfer. Miss Nelson, who's way in the back there with a red mask on, she has some of those on her tonight. If you need to get one, she would be happy to get those for you. Otherwise, they are available on the website. And then all registration tools are available on our website. So everything we gave you today, plus everything we're talking about, plus a copy of this PowerPoint will be posted on that website for you to review again. So, as Mr. Bazal told you, we have 6 classes in 2 semesters. So this is a sample of what a freshman schedule could look like. You will have a year of English, a year of math, a year of science, for sure a semester of social. Some of you may choose to take 2, and then you will have elective choices to fill out your schedule freshman year. So this slide that you're seeing now, this is going to look familiar. You're going to see it a few times tonight. But first, we're going to start off by talking about your required classes. So if I were you sitting out there in the crowd, I'd flip to my blue sheet. And if you have a writing utensil, it might be helpful at this point. I will tell you that for all grades, we tell kids to fill out their worksheet before they go to do their online registration because it makes it easier. So you see that first class is asking you about English on that blue worksheet. You have to take 8 English credits by the time you graduate, 2 each year. So a full year of English for 4 years. As a freshman, you have 2 options. You can choose to take English 9, which is the normal English class, or you could choose to challenge yourself and take the upper level English class, which is Honors English 9. There is not a prerequisite. You don't have to test in or qualify, but we will look at your previous English grades, your MCA test scores, and if for some reason your teachers indicate or those things don't make us feel like you might be successful, we'll reach out to you with a phone call and say, hey, we just want to make sure that you're in the right fit, and you might say, yep, I didn't try hard last year, or I had a death in the family and things didn't go well, but I'm really committed, and you can still be in that course. So if I'm the parent or the student sitting out there right now, I would circle what class I think I'm going to take. As we go through this registration, one of the key things we want you to take away is that if you are registering for a year-long class, you have to enter 2 numbers in the registration system, 1 for each semester. So as you can see on your worksheet, English 9 has 2 numbers, as does Honors English 9 has 2 numbers because it is a year-long class. This is our English sequencing. I want you to notice that there are no arrows on this, meaning if you take English 9, there is no arrow that directs you that you have to take English 10. Just like if you take Honors English 9, there is no arrow directing that you have to take Honors English 10. I will tell you most kids do tend to trend that way, but that is for sure not a requirement. You can go back and forth if that is what is best for you. Back to this slide again. We are going to talk about social studies, and I'm going to be honest that this is one of the most confusing pieces about freshman registration for folks. So please listen carefully. You will take 3.5 years of required social studies. 1 geography, which is your freshman year, 2 U.S. history, 2 world history, and econ and a government. Gets you to 7. Some students will choose to take 8. Because they will take an upper-level geography class their freshman year. That does not mean that then later down the line, they don't have to take one of those. If you are going to take the upper level human geography, which is AP human geography, you are committing to a full 4 years or 8 credits for that social studies. All right? So you will take either Human Geography 9, which is a 1-semester course. So if you take it, it's going to take up 1 spot on that schedule, or you're going to take AP Human Geography. This is the only AP class that is available to our freshman students on purpose. It's not an easy class, but is the easiest of the AP classes that we offer here, which is why it is offered at the freshman level. So AP stands for Advanced Placement, and it has the potential to carry college credit. And what I mean by that is for any AP class, students can opt to take an AP test in May, and depending on how they score on that test, that could potentially transfer to a college credit for the institution that they're choosing to go to. So that test is on a scale of 1 to 5, and typically earning a grade of 3, 4, or 5 on that could transfer into a college credit post-high school. It also carries a weighted grade. For those of you who don't understand what that is a weighted grade. Our classes here at the high school that have college credit or the potential of college credit, they have something called weighted grading, which means we're wanting to give you the benefit of the doubt for taking the tougher class and recognizing that you're taking the tougher class. So when you get that final grade, let's say that your student takes AP Human Geography and they earn a B. A B, when we calculate that into a GPA calculation, is calculated at a 3. Remember, an A is a 4, so if someone got all A's, they would have a 4.0. So a B would be calculated at a 3. If you get a B in an AP or a weighted class, it actually gets calculated as a 3.34. So it's as if you got a B+. So the grade itself does not change, but the numerical calculation that goes into that GPA does get you a bump, which is how students graduate with above a 4.0 GPA, is that they've taken weighted classes and done well, and that's how they were able to achieve over a 4.0 upon graduation. I hope you followed me. I think that's the most confusing thing we do tonight. Here's the social studies pathway. As you can see, once again, no arrows. So if you choose to take AP Human Geography and you realize, hey, maybe an AP class isn't for me, that does not dictate that your sophomore year you have to take AP U.S. History. You can pick and choose, and within the social studies department, a geography subject area is very different than a history or an econ. They're very different subject areas, and so some kids will say, yeah, I'm a real history buff, but maybe econ and government aren't my thing, and they wouldn't want to take an upper level class there. We really want you to do what is best for your student, where they're going to be successful, and maybe give them a little bit of a challenge, but we certainly don't want to overwhelm anybody. So now on to math. You will have to have 6 math credits to graduate, which must include geometry or algebra 2. Some of you are taking geometry now, and so that is okay. You don't need to worry about repeating that in the high school. That is not something we want you to do. Math is extremely linear. The vast majority of you sitting out there tonight are actually in a class called linear algebra. If you are enrolled in linear algebra, next year, the class you are going to take, so you can write this down on your worksheet, is 1 semester of probability and statistics and 1 semester of exponential algebra. That is the normal math track, so that is most of our freshmen next year. If you are accelerated by 1 year and you're currently enrolled in a middle school class called Algebra 1, you are going to enroll in geometry. So I would write that, and I would write it twice, geometry, because it's going to be 2 numbers, a year-long course. If you are currently enrolled in geometry, you are twice accelerated, and you will come in and take Algebra 2 next year. So on your worksheet, write Algebra 2, right? If you feel like this is not the correct placement for you, as Mr. Bazal said earlier, please talk to your current math teacher. This is the math grid. As you can see, this one is covered in arrows, because in math, you have to know A before you know B, before you know C. Otherwise, it does not work real well. So as you can see, if you're coming in on the normal track, which means you're taking probability and stats and expo next year, As a sophomore, you will take geometry, and as a junior, you will take Algebra 2, and that will round out your required math curriculum. Many students will choose to take that fourth year, especially depending on their post-high school plans and where they see themselves. But after those 6 math credits, you would have met your requirement. If you're starting next year at geometry, you're going to go geometry, Algebra 2, and then you're going to have a choice to make. As you can see, that's where those arrows split, between pre-calc, college algebra, or AP statistics. If you are coming in next year and starting at Algebra 2, that decision comes your sophomore year. I'm going to tell you that most of our kids that come in at Algebra 2 go Algebra 2, pre-calc, calc AB, and calc BC if they're going to continue for that fourth year of math. But after Algebra 2, you do have that choice of what path you want to follow. All of these course offering sequence guides are also on our website because I realize they might be a little hard to read up here. You also need 6 science credits, so 3 years of science. You must take a full year of biology and then a full year of chemistry or physics. Next year, as a freshman, you will take physical science. So your choice will be to take regular physical science or honors physical science. So if you have a student who's really passionate about science and a good reader and good at math, honors physical science might be a really great fit for that student. If not, I would steer more towards that regular physical science. When we have kids who are on the fence or are unsure, we always recommend that you go back and talk to your current 8th grade science teacher, and we know that they will be able to guide you correctly in where you would be the best fit for 9th grade. Once again, no arrows. So your 9th grade class is not going to determine your 10th grade class, although once again, students do tend to trend that general direction. And so you will take physical science, biology, and then chemistry or physics. And some students choose to take chemistry and physics, depending on their post-high school plans. You must also take 1 Phy-Ed credit and 1 health credit prior to graduation. Our Phy-Ed courses that you're eligible to take as a freshman, there are 4. You can take, let me start over. You don't have to take a Phy-Ed class freshman year. You have to take 1 Phy-Ed credit prior to graduation. Many of our students like to take those classes freshman year. So you can take total fitness, aerobics, strength training and conditioning, or strength training and conditioning for females. I see that one is listed and is missing on here. So there are 4. Strength training and strength for females are the exact same class, it's just the one has only girls in it. Health is typically taken in the 10th grade year and is not an option for freshmen. So please don't try to register for it because we will pull that class. You have to be a sophomore to take health. You can also see that there are elective classes on here. So once you have taken one of those 4 intro-level Phy-Ed classes, you would then be able to look at some of those more advanced Phy-Ed courses. You also must take 2 art credits. So 2 semesters of art prior to graduation. Does not need to be taken freshman year, but a lot of kids start working on that during their freshman year. This is where that grid at the back of your packet is going to be super handy. In the almost far right column, 1 over, it tells you the type of credit the class carries. Anything in the art department, so clay, paint, draw, jewelry, digital art, all of that carries an art credit. Everything in music, so band, choir, guitar, music theory, all of that carries an art credit. And then there are quite a few classes in other departments, including our industrial tech, our family and consumer science, and our business classes that also have art credits associated with them. Not all of them are available to freshmen, but we need you to get 2 art credits prior to graduation. So look at that grid to figure out where those go. We also always get the question of what happens if I take more than 2 art credits. That's fine. When we have parents or families that have invested in band instruments and they want you to take 4 years of band, that's fantastic. Those will just then, your 2 meet the requirement and the extra go towards those elective credits. So please don't stop taking art classes just because you think you won't have the correct classes for graduation. Please continue with those passions. In addition, so after those 31 required for graduation, there are 12 additional, so choice classes, anything that you're interested in. And boy, do we have a lot for you to choose from. Once again, you can take additional art classes. We have a great industrial tech program as well down on the other end of their building. As you can see, we have those big garage doors for auto classes and welding classes, and we have incredible machinery down there for kids to take. We have a really strong business and DECA program that kids are super passionate about, as well as things like world language and our first aid and CPR classes. We're introducing a couple of new classes next year, one of them being Intro to Education. We always get the question about foreign language. We do offer both Spanish and German, and we have French as an online option at this time. There is no foreign language requirement to graduate from high school. Now, having said that, depending on your post-high school plans, you may want to take 2 years of the same foreign language. So if you know that immediately leaving high school you're looking at a 4-year college or university, many of them do require 2 years of the same foreign language for admittance. Not all of them, but many of them do. So please, then when we talk about preparing with the end in mind, knowing what your end goal is so that you can prepare in high school to meet that goal. I'm going to let Mr. Scher talk about blended classes.
Thank you, Ms. Schermack. Hello, everyone. Me again. I've been asked to talk to you about what we offer here at Elk River High School that are referred to as blended courses. You're going to see the term blended courses throughout your registration information, and it's something else that you're going to consider in your career over here at Elk River High School. So as you know, ISD 728 currently offers an online platform as well. So when you look at the diagram that you see up on the screen, I like to think of the online portion as the yellow circle and the traditional classroom model as the blue. Here at Elk River High School, we've mended the two into what we've called a blended course. So if you are someone out there who is considering an online option, we also want to introduce you to the second option, which is a blended course, which is the blended option. So what exactly does a blended course look like? Well, since the COVID pandemic struck us about 2 years ago, the term blended has been tossed around, and you've heard things like hybrid and things like that. And so our purpose here is just to clarify what we mean by blended. So a blended course works like this. From time to time, students will be called into the classroom to do some face-to-face learning, and then from time to time, they'll be also given the opportunity to do digital learning through the Schoology management system. Now, this is not set on any type of a schedule. It's not a come to class Monday, do digital Tuesday, come to class on Wednesday. It is flexible to meet the needs of both the teachers and the students. So, for example, if you are in a blended course and you are doing that traditional face-to-face setting, the following day might be what we call flex day or a blended day, and the teacher may ask your students to then come, a few students to come to the classroom while others work digitally. It allows our teachers and students to get more small group attention and one-to-one support when they are struggling with the content, while those students who have seemed to master the content or showed that they've mastered the content are able to work on that digital platform. In a blended course, when there is a flex day, your student is allowed to work in one of our flex areas in the building, which would include the media center, our commons area, and also I think we're adding some additional flex spaces in the future. So just wanted to draw that to your attention so you don't get that confused with what you saw last year with the hybrid days. Blended courses were here prior to the COVID pandemic here at Elk River High School. It's something that we believe is a very beneficial program that sort of brings the online components of learning and that traditional face-to-face together. So something to think about. We have a lot of offerings within the course registration guide, so please feel free to take a look. We run those courses based on numbers, meaning that if enough students register for those courses, we will run it as a blended course. If there's not enough students registering for any particular course, they would be then put most likely into that face-to-face course version of that class. Okay? All right, I'm going to turn it back over to Ms. Schermack, and we'll take some questions at the end.
All right, so here's that sample freshman schedule again. And so now that you've thought a little bit about maybe what your student might be interested in, I want you to look at that fourth line and see that it says social studies. That's that human geography. If you or your student are thinking that You're going to take the AP Human Geography course, which is the year-long course. That whole fourth line would be filled with geography. If they are not, then you have 5 choice or elective spots to fill. But if they are taking the AP, you would just have those 4 semester choice spots to fill. This shouldn't really even say new because it's been around for a few years, but for the class of 2020 and beyond, students have the choice to transcript specific middle school credits. So if you are currently enrolled in one of our middle schools and you're enrolled in geometry, that is a class that you don't need to do anything. We will contact you next fall and say, hey, your child took geometry in middle school and they earned a or a B. Would you like to put that on their high school transcript? That is your choice to make, but you do have to make that, and it is a permanent decision. And so you can say, nope, I'm not going to put that on their transcript, or yes, I do want to put it on their transcript. But once it's on or not on, that choice can't be changed later. If you are outside of our district and you are taking a high school level class, which tends to be a foreign language or a math, we will also reach out to you and say your child is taking in a high school level math at Anoka High School or wherever you may be. Do you want to put that on there? This is the only time where we're going to ask you if you want to put a class on there, especially when we already know what the grade is going to be. So for most students, if you get an A, of course you would want to put that on your transcript because now we're putting actually 2 A's if it was that geometry. But for a choice few students, that would actually hurt their GPA. And that would be in a case where you have a student who you know is going to try and achieve for one of those top high honors spots in our school because geometry is not a weighted grade. And so for that kiddo who's planning on getting all A's all the way through and taking advanced weighted courses, putting A's on a transcript could potentially actually bring their GPA down. I know that seems crazy. That is not the case for most students, and you don't have to make that decision until next fall. So this is just talking about what I was telling you. So we will contact you to let you make that choice if it applies to you. So some important dates and some important things to consider tonight and registration. So opening tomorrow morning at 7:30 a.m. our registration opens, and it is open all the way through the 21st. You can go in and change and edit and do as much as you want within that time frame, but when it shuts down on the 21st, you need to make sure you have a full registration in at that time. We don't want to have to be chasing you around and trying to get your registration after the due date. August 22nd is our tentative housekeeping night, which means our students can come in, they can have their pictures taken, they can pick up their schedule, they can get a Chromebook if they need it. Typically, parents don't come to this, so please don't be the freshman parent that comes. You'll embarrass your child. I'm sure that you never do that ever when they're in middle school, but please don't do that. On our tentative date for open house, though, is the 31st, and that's when we really want parents to come in. So teachers will be here that night. Our offices will be open that night. Our different clubs and organizations set up tables to advertise what their club is all about. You can walk around, try out your schedule, see your classroom, meet your teacher, and parents do come to that. So we encourage you to come to that event. Parent portal. If you are currently in our district, you have a parent portal account and know that you can check your child's attendance and update your address if you move or a phone number. Your parent portal is going to follow you straight through into high school, so there's no need to change anything. Your kid will just show up as an Elk River High School student, and you'll be able to see their attendance and grades and all of that information as well. If you need to activate your parent portal, please use the parent portal either help phone line or the email. We are very knowledgeable, but we cannot change that, so please don't ask us to. We do ask that you update your phone numbers. I think it's really easy to get a new cell phone or to change jobs and forget to update this here. You know, you update it at the doctor and you update it wherever else you go, but make sure you update it at the high school as well. If you are new to ISD 728, which means you do not live in our district in any way, you live outside of Elk River, Rogers, Zimmerman, and Otsego, and you live in Anoka, Big Lake, somewhere else, but you're coming to Elk River High School, you need to do an online enrollment. You will not be able to register for classes until you are registered to attend our high school. If you need help with that, Miss Nelson back here in the red mask is your lady to talk to tonight. She can help you with that. If you are not new, but you do not live in the district, so let's say you do not live in the district, but your student is currently at Sauk or Vandenberg, you're good to go. Don't worry, yours will transfer right up here. So please don't fill out another online enrollment. You're already good. We already talked about an in-district transfer, so if you attend one of the middle schools in Zimmerman or Rogers, you need to do an in-district transfer because you're choosing to come to Elk River High School. So this is what your blue form looks like that some of you may have started to fill out. So once again, we would highly recommend you sit down with your kid, you write down the actual numbers, and then they should sit this next to them as they go on and do their online registration, which is the next piece I'm going to show you. So the next couple of slides are screenshots of what that online registration actually looks like, but the directions are what that front peachy colored sheet is. There's just no pictures on it. So students are going to register. Parents don't register for their students. So the student themselves is going to need to go onto their portal and select their classes for next year. So you're going to enter your username and password, which you should all know because that's the only way you get into your Chromebooks. You're going to log in, and on the very bottom of that sidebar, it says More. Under that More tab, you're going to select Course Registration. It should only give you the option to register for next school year. You will then click that, and then you are going to click Add Course. You can search by course name or by course number. We always suggest course number. Remember that you have all of the course numbers in that grid. The reason for that is each class only has that number associated with it, or two numbers if it's a year-long class. Whereas if you type in English, it's going to come up with every class that has English in the title, and it would be real easy for you to accidentally select English 10 instead of English 9. And so please use those course numbers just to help with not getting any of those errors. Or sometimes we might have abbreviated a class name, so instead of saying, I'm using this one again, engineering, design, and manufacturing, we might have edited that to say ENG period design, and so if you type in engineering, it may error out and say there are no classes, when indeed there are, and I want to make sure that you get the classes that you want. And then once you select the class, it's going to ask if you want to make it a primary request or an alternate. So make sure that everything goes in as a primary request when you fill your schedule, meaning these are the classes that I really want: English, math, science, social, your elective classes, and then later we will ask you for your alternates. When you select the name of the class, it will also show you the course description. And so if you didn't go out and read that course description guide, that is your chance to do that then. And so maybe for some of your choice classes, that might come up and you might go, oh, I didn't realize in clay class I was going to be doing a lot of work on the wheel and I really want to do more hand building, so maybe I'm not interested in that class, or vice versa. And so make sure that you're familiar with what you're signing up for. You can change it to from a primary to an alternate class, or you could cancel it altogether. So if you click on the wrong thing and you're like, oh shoot, I didn't want that class, you can just delete it out. So you are going to select 12 courses, and it's weird. It's going to double and tell you that you've registered for 24 units. Those are your 12 courses. Once you've registered for those 12, then you're going to start loading your electives, your alternates, and you're going to do those in the order that you're interested in them in. And you must give us a minimum of 5, a maximum of 6. And so enter your courses, enter your alternates. So if your first alternate is culinary, and your last alternate is yoga, please enter them in that order. So that then if something, let's say your primary request of painting, we couldn't fit it in your schedule, the first one that we're going to try to fit in then is clay. And then we would work our way all the way down to yoga if we needed to. So please enter those in order. So one of the big questions we get, and I don't like this about the program, is there's no submit or I'm done or verify button. You just log out and it's saved. So it feels really anticlimactic, like you want to press this big finish button and you can't. So please don't panic that you didn't save it. It automatically saves in the system. If you're really worried about it, log out and log back in and you can see they're all still there. If you have any questions, please contact any of the counselors at the high school or your current teachers if you're trying to figure out leveling of classes for your student. But we are all here. Sometimes email might be faster than phone calls, especially at the end of the semester. We're pretty busy, but we would certainly love to answer those questions and talk you through what would be best for you or your kiddo for next year, because we want to set them up to be successful. Remember, we want to, like Mr. Bazal said, we want to start with the end in mind. What is your plan for when you leave us? And let's make sure that we're getting you prepared to be there. If you are registering for a year-long class, how many numbers are you entering? 2. If it is a semester class, it is 1 number. So please make sure that that's probably the biggest mistake that we see students make. And make sure you give us 5 alternates in order. If your student is part of special education or has an IEP, please be in contact with their case manager. They're going to help you in picking the correct classes as well, as their journey through our 4 years might look different than another student. We want to make sure that we have planned appropriately and best supported your child as they are here. Please make your choices wisely. We always tell kids, make your choices based on what you want, not on what your best friend wants, because as shocking as it may sound, she might be your best friend today, and tomorrow she might be your worst enemy, and now you've picked all your classes based on what classes she picked, and 1, you don't want the classes, and 2, you're not friends with her anymore. So please make those choices based on you, and because when it comes down to changing your schedule, like you were told earlier, we make our master schedule brand new every year. We don't copy and paste from the year before. We make it based on what kids are requesting, and we hire teachers based on that. So if all 400 of you say you want to take music tech, we're going to have to hire another music teacher. Just help us in making those choices that you want so that we can best serve you by getting those on your schedule. All right. So once again, post-high school planning. One of the things we hear a lot of times from our seniors is, I wish I could go back and redo freshman year. I wasn't serious, and I shouldn't have gotten the grades that I got because I was kind of goofing off. Please remember that your GPA and your high school story starts the day that you step in our doors, and we want to make sure that you're writing that story and that story tells what you want it to. So please know that it's game on the minute you walk in our doors. Anybody post-high school, so whether that be a recruiter or like for the military or a college recruiter or someone for an apprenticeship program, whatever your path is once you leave us, they're going to look back to that 9th grade year. So do your best. Your class rank and your GPA start 9th grade year. So, as we said earlier, sometimes it's really hard to decide how much do I want to challenge my student and what classes do I want to pick. I tend to always err on the side of caution because I would rather you have it be a little easy and you're wildly successful than we set you up and you really, really struggle. So I would say set your child up to be successful and give them a little bit of a challenge because we don't want them to be bored. So if for your kid, a little bit of a challenge might be 4 upper level classes. For the person sitting next to you, it might be none or it might be 1. Each of you know your kids and what their skills and abilities are. Depending on if you are planning on post-high school education of any kind, certain colleges and training programs are going to require things above and beyond the minimum to graduate from high school, specifically in those areas of math and science. And so as you're looking at that planning, and a lot of students will sit down at this point and make their 4-year planning guide of what they think they're going to take for 4 years. That can always change, but be looking with that end in mind of, okay, if I know that I want to go to the U of M, I'm probably going to have to take 4 years of science, including physics and chemistry, and so that I can just plan for that and know that that's probably the path I'm going to take. So there are 5 counselors. These are our names. There's also, you can find us on the website with links to our phone numbers and our emails. Please feel free to reach out early and often. You are not bothering us if you call us more than once. I would rather you get the correct information and take the correct classes. So please let us know. In addition, if you currently attend Vandenberg, your counselor actually worked here last year. So if you happen to see her in the hallway, she could probably also appropriately guide you. If any of you are interested in following any of our offices on Twitter, here are our Twitter feeds. If you want to follow us, our activities, our principal, our general district, or our counseling office. but it is 6:56, and I was told to end it before 7, so I win. But this is a chance for you to ask questions. In addition, if you have a question that's specific to your kid or personal that you don't want the group to hear, please either meet us out in the lobby or come on down and we'd be happy to answer those as well. But thank you for coming.